Biden. I want to get some more reactions now to that inaugural speech. We're joined now by Cody Keenan, former chief speechwriter for President Barack Obama. So, Cody, a lot of powerful moments in that speech. President Biden saying America has been tested and we've come out stronger. He said that we will repair our alliances to face today and tomorrow's challenges, calling for unity, and then also calling for us to fight together the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm wondering, just first from you, what your reactions were to President Biden's inaugural speech.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was blown away by it. I don't just think it met the moment. I think it's one of the better inaugural addresses in history. A great inaugural address really has to, we set these kind of high expectations for him, but it's usually based on the great lines we know. Ask not what your country can do for you. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Basically anything from Lincoln's second. But a great inaugural address really fits the moment, speaks to the time and place. And I think the president did that very, very well. Hats off to him and his speechwriters. As they build out their team, they should consider hiring Amanda Gorman to join them because she was outstanding. But few presidents have walked into a hand like this, have been dealt such a lousy hand, and there's so much to do. And there are a few presidents that meet the moment better than Joe Biden because of who he is and what he's been through in his life. I mean, this is somebody who's been dealt incredibly painful hands throughout his entire life, and he doesn't feel sorry for himself. You'll never hear him whisper you'll never hear a whisper of self-pity. He just gets up, does the work with optimism, and moves on. And, a line he said today echoed something he said yesterday: don't tell me things can't change. They can and they do. And that's really kind of the tone that he's set here. It's a story he's been writing his entire life. It's a story that America could use right now.
Cody, there was so much, I think, that moved so many people listening to the speech. But at the very beginning, when he said, this is a great nation, we are good people, millions of Americans hold that dear in their hearts. And I'm curious, in the process of writing a speech, does the speechwriter, someone like you, capture the voice of a Joe Biden, or does Joe Biden actually write the speech with the speechwriter? Because you truly believe that is who this man is, a great nation, we are good people, when he says that.
Yeah, that is who he is. That's who Joe's been his entire life. There's really no varnish over Joe Biden. I know his chief speechwriter really well. One of his senior advisors who's been with him for decades worked on the speech too. But it's my understanding is Joe worked on it himself up through this morning. And the only way a real speechwriter presidential relationship works is if all the words are the president's. If he's directly involved in it, if he's leading the process, if he's in there working on it. That's what it is. You don't just write a speech and stick it into a prompter for somebody to read. Every word should have been meticulously and carefully poured over by the president. And in this case, it was.
Cody, I'm wondering if, and you've been touching on it a little bit, but if you can really contextualize a little bit more for us, President Biden's speech, especially after we had 4 years, and the president who was more prone to tweets than speeches, and even, the outgoing president's last speech, he riffed throughout the entire thing, went completely off script, ending it with "good luck, have a good life, I'll see you again soon." I'm wondering if you can really kind of contrast what we're seeing here, as this is essentially President Biden's first entree to us all as president with this speech.
Yeah, everything in this speech was a contrast to the last 4 years. I'll even go further and say everything over the past couple weeks has been a contrast to the past 4 years, because Joe Biden has had to step into this role that's basically been vacant for the past couple months over this transition. And over the past couple weeks, he's been laying out the detailed nuts and bolts of his plans. Last night he led a memorial service on the National Mall, which is, it's amazing to think about, but no national leader has done that until now. And it was an incredible moment of catharsis for everyone across the country who's lost somebody or just hasn't been able to hug anybody in months and needed some way to feel like they were part of a healing process. That's when we talk about tone. It's mocked a lot when somebody says, so-and-so had a new tone today, but that's the tone that Joe Biden sets as he's taking office. Tone is about more than words. It's about the way you carry yourself. It's about the people you hire in your administration. It's about the priorities you put in place. And he's been setting that tone now for the past couple months. So, and going forward, he'll continue to do that. I mean, kind of like I said earlier, this is a man who has been through deep traumas in his life. And we're in a moment of deep trauma right now. I mean, no president's walked into 400,000 dead Americans. We are approaching the height of the pandemic. The economy's in shambles. There's an ongoing cyber attack at all levels of the government. The transition was a mess. He's really walking into dark times here, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. But for him to stand up there with optimism, not a naive optimism, but a hard-earned optimism that he's built over a lifetime of struggle himself, I think is something that's really important and that people are going to take away from this.
All right, Cody Keenan, former chief speechwriter for President Barack Obama. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us some of your thoughts.